This is one of my playbook setups, so definitely stay tuned to figure out how you can use this for self in your own trading. For those of you that are new here, my name is Forrest. I invest in stuff. I'm a day trader with a passion for teaching people how to trade. If you're looking for a new day trading community and hub, check out Trade Edge, right? It is a partnership between myself and Soul, and we are focused on helping people learn how to trade. I'm super passionate about this because I believe that trading, while one of the most difficult things, right, can unlock access to financial freedom, whatever that means to you, right? Spending more time with your family, going on more vacations, buying a huge house, Lamborghini, whatever it means to you. I'm a little less materialistic. For me, I just enjoy having infinite opportunity. Nonetheless, the community is growing, so I'm super excited about our growth and how that's been going and all the testimonials of everybody in there. So far, you guys fuel me every single week. I love helping you guys. Hit that subscribe button as well. Okay, so what is this setup, right? This setup is what I call a mean reversion trade. I don't know if that's the best name for it. Okay, it's not like, this isn't a silver bullet strategy, right? There is a very well-defined setup for this though, right? So this is one of my bread and butter setups, right? I consider this an A+ setup, and it is core to really, auction mechanics or understanding that the market is a double-sided auction. If you're not familiar with the volume profile, check out my videos on the volume profile, right? The volume profile itself is an indicator like many others, but it shows us something important, right? It shows us where people are positioned in the market, which is important, right? Because moves in the market aren't just random, right? And if you believe in random walk theory, I don't know why you're trading. Let's just use Apple as an example. Okay, and this is important to understand why mean reversions work. Okay, if I put $10 million into Apple at a price of $50, okay, I'm not going to feel pressure to sell at any price above $50. Now, there is going to be a price where I am maybe wanting to take profits, which is the case. Same on the flip side. If I short Apple at $200, I short 10 million shares, $10 million worth of shares of Apple at that price. Okay, and it goes down to $100. I'm not going to feel pressure to cover until it comes back up to my price of $200. Now, I might want to take profits. Okay, now in both scenarios, as price comes back to either level, on the volume profile, we would see a huge shelf of volume where the person who went long took their basis and where the person who went short took their basis. And it is around these levels that we can expect the auction to gravitate towards, right? Or really get sucked into a whirlpool, because there are players with a large basis there. So as we approach those levels, we'll see increases in activity as well, right? Because people are either trying to hedge their bets, get out early, they're getting scared, whatever it is. It's very, very simple, but people miss the actual psychology around why this works, and they miss out on the money. So let's talk about what mean reversions are, and we'll just jump into the charts. All right, so what do I mean by the mean? Okay, in math, the mean means average. I was trying not to say mean again, but the definition of mean is the average. Okay, now all semantics in the market are time bound. Okay, so I'm talking about the average from some time X to some time Y. Typically on my channel, when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about within regular trading hours, right? Within RTH or within a session, which is overnight to settlement. Okay, settlement to settlement. It's important because there are many averages. You could calculate, it will truly change the math. And if you've used VWAP or if you use an EMA, this is the case, right? There's the 8 EMA, there's a 9 EMA, there's a 21 EMA, there's a 34 EMA, there's a 50 EMA, there's a 200 period EMA, right? All of these are averages with weights across different periods, right? Point of control in terms of the volume profile and auction mechanics. I think of it as an interpretation of an average. It really isn't an average, but it shows us the prices that matter. It shows us prices where people have actually transacted with some weight. It shows us where people have participated with some weight. So we know that there are people here. For example, we know that within this session on Friday, there was a large amount of people right, at this red line. Okay, the most amount of people actually participated within this period of time here. Most of them did. It's a fact. We can see it right here on the chart. And we can see that there are all these other prices where quite a lot did, right? So this is a pretty flat shelf, ultimately. I consider this all kind of one node right here, okay? Why is this important? Well, as we get here, we can see that we whipsawed within on the end of day in these prices. But what if we go to earlier in the day? Okay, let's hit the market replay function. And we'll stick on we're actually gonna go to the 1 minute, just for the sake of example. I never trade on the 1 minute, by the way. I'm just going to this time interval so that we can see what happened in the morning. And we're gonna go to replay and let's go to the data candle. Okay, so if you've never used TradingView before, there's a replay functionality. The volume profile and things like that will calculate even when you're using the market replay. It should, at least. I don't know why it is not populating right now. Let me see if I can fix this. Oh, it's back here. Okay, sorry. That's my fault because I went to the 1 minute. It's a lot further back. So as I replay this candle, we see that we got a pop lower. Okay, and this is the 8:30, tier 1 data candle. This is a macro price that I called. That's why we have the shelf here, right? This is something I wrote up in my admin thoughts. So I'm thinking at this point, okay, maybe data brings us to this 413 level, right? But if we just look at the volume profile for where it is from settlement, right? So overnight to now, we can see that there is a huge amount of volume built, right here, and there's some volume up here. Cool. All right. So we have this small, we can see these 1 minute candles are down here. Point of control is right here, right? It went down to 18,540 right now. Go down, see where it goes to. Okay, so we finally get a little bounce. Okay, let's look at this price action. We get a little bounce. So this first green here, right? This first green down here is where I'm looking the long. Now I had a really good entry on my long here because I have a thesis for mean reversion already because we have such a strong node. So we had a data candle, a move away from where people have participated into a, we have a move away from where people have participated with a very well-defined node. We're starting to build a node here. So at this point, here's how I'm thinking this thesis can break. We could get a bear flag. So if we start bear flagging lower, I would be afraid in that scenario. We probably want to go to a higher time frame here. So let's go to the 5 minute, see what this actually looks like. I would never look at the 1 minute to make this delineation. So I'm saying it's a bear flag forming on the 5, but I'm taking a long here with my stop right below 507. Okay, and that's exactly what I did during this session. Okay, so I go long here. There's a low value area, so there's nobody here. We should fly through this price here in the middle. We should rip through this price is what I'm looking for, all right? But I don't want to retest lower than here. So this is where, my stop is. My stop is actually a little bit lower down here. This is the current low. This is a data candle, so we should come back to the magnet. We should come back to the magnet. That's a mean reversion. We're coming back to the point of control, the place where all the people are in the session because we have a very strong node. So let's see what happens. Okay, we get a little candle here. It comes back up to, that is the 8 EMA in this case, right? We'll turn off the visible range. We don't need that profile. Comes back up to the 8 EMA. And what happens next, and I said this live in voice that, I almost got shook out, but there is a pattern that will happen in these data candle early morning lows where you can get a move like this, okay? Or a move like this, like almost a perfect retest. Okay, I know this because I've journaled a lot of these moves, which is why you need to be journaling your trades and your setups. But really what I'm looking for is I don't want this node to get too big. Okay, if you start building a node lower and flagging as you build a node, that is usually a continuation pattern. In this case though, we just had some volume built down here because it's in the morning, right? Some volume built here, but we came back up. Let's see what happens here. Some chop, comes back up, comes back down to here, front runs this price. So what I mean by front running is that it came down, but it never actually retested this low, and it did that expected pattern. And we got this move. What was so hard about this trade, and the reason that I almost actually got shook out this time, was that we could see this first pop here was 160 points. So I was very, very, very green. I was very, very green on this trade. And then I went to, green, but not as green as I wanted to be. I was like barely green. And then I did not have a penny perfect entry. So my entry was literally like down here at like 530, 525. And then we got back to the POC. I called that we'd probably retest this candle, but I got out on the POC because they did do a little bit of a pullback once they got to the POC. But that's a classic mean reversion trade. We can see at this point too that the volume profile has shifted significantly. So we still have this node here. They filled in this low value area, and this is that node that we had at the beginning. Okay, so it did shift, right? As we chopped here, we filled in this low, but because we did not come below and break this structure here early, we got the mean reversion trade. This is a trade that I take or look for to take anytime we have a strong volume profile setup. It's not just a data trade. Okay, so mean reversion trades, what you want is you want a volume profile with one well-defined node and a POC. Okay, let me actually draw this off somewhere else. Okay, you want a volume profile with one node. Okay, you don't want a bimodal distribution. Okay, you don't want something like that. And you also don't want a volume profile that looks like, say, two modes that look like this. Okay, equal height nodes, and then price is like down here. You don't want price below a node, right? If you build value and then price moves lower, that's a continuation pattern. So what we saw here is what we built value. We built some value lower, okay, built a small node, but then we started coming above the price, moving away from the node. Okay, it's very simple, but the price action on the profile really matters. But you want a strong, well-defined node. What you don't want, okay, if we get rid of this, what you don't want is a volume profile that looks like this. There's just nodes all over the place. Okay, it's all skinny belly volume profile, right? Very low value with too many nodes and not enough bias. There's not enough bias in this setup, right? No bias in this setup. So that is not a mean reversion. I want a very strong node so that when price moves away quickly, it should come back. Okay, that is the mean reversion trade. Confluence. Okay, what are some of the confluences that we can look for? Okay, with these setups. I don't have the VWAP turned on. Okay, but very often what we can look for is VWAP on top of our POC. Okay, if VWAP starts to converge on the POC, VWAP is another average, right? It is the volume weighted average price. So the average is literally in the word. VWAP is useful for a lot of the reasons. I'm not going to go into that, right? So if you're under or below VWAP for X periods of time, that can give you intuition about which way we're going to trend, right? So we're under VWAP here. We see that the POC is here. VWAP starts to converge right here though, right as we creep up, right? VWAP is coming lower because the price is lower. And once these converge, anytime VWAP and POC are on top of each other, that's a very strong level. Okay, and if we continue to play out, we can see we rejected, right, this area, and that gave us this continuation lower here, right? So we rejected VWAP and POC. Yes, we ran through it, but we had a very, good top wick coming here, high volume top wick on the 5, got rejected, came lower. We came under VAL and range on the low side of the auction for the rest of the day. Eventually the POC shifted out and, we got the rest of the session for Friday. So I wanted to review that trade, a real trade that I took, understanding also the difficulty. Like even I almost got shook out. I was talking about it live in the Discord, but I still held, okay? These trades, especially in this high VIX environment, if we take a look at the VIX, okay? We'll go to the daily on the VIX. We can see that the VIX is very high right now, okay? The VIX is up to 23. We cracked, we were in this range down here for a while. This is the daily, okay? Look at how far look how many days we were down here. Broke out of that. Very volatile environment. Increased volatility means expanded range, which means that, the word volatile is the best word for the market that we're in. It's volatile. So you should expect more erratic price action. Okay. We eventually you can see the daily chart that I shared. We did hit my macro downside target, right to the penny basically on Friday, which is cool to see. Yeah. And I'm interested to see how we open up here, but if we turn on the visible range volume profile, it'll become very evident why this is the price. Okay, there's a prior low here that we swept. Okay, market was seeking liquidity. There's a prior low, and it's the beginning of the other side of this shelf here. And you can see that I have this whole red box as my landing zone, but we got a perfect sweep right to the first cliff. Very simple TA, give us a nice little trade. And I did take this long off of 413 later in the day, but that's different video, different topic. Mean reversion trades. I have a video where I talk about this setup as well as prior POC setups. They are the two best setups. They're two setups in my playbook, at least. Okay. I'm not going to, have dogma and say they're the best setups ever. There are infinite ways to make money in the market. This is how I do it. This is free game for you guys. It's funny because all the stuff I talk about, when I talk about the trades that I actually take, these videos get the least amount of views. But this is 100% how I actually make my bread, guys. So there you go. Hope you like this. Ask questions down in the comments. See you in the next video. Peace.